Caffeinated Cooper Show. Welcome. Here's your bubbly and beautiful host, Elizabeth. It's the Caffeinated Cooper Show.
Hello, everybody. How are you? Welcome to the Caffeinated Cooper Show. I have to shut my chickens off in the background here. Aren't they cute? I love them. They're actually, and I just started it again. Technical difficulties. Sorry about that. Anyway, welcome to the Caffeinated Cooper Show. As you can see, we are in the coop. My left is my right is my left. I will get it, everybody. That was my mantra from season 1. It's going to be for season 2. Maybe I'll just do both hands at the same time because I can never remember that. Today, I have amazing author on the show. I'm going to go ahead and bring him up and introduce J.M. Valente. And he has written a trinity of Blood Passion books. Welcome to the show, Jim. How are you?
Oh, hello. Good to see you. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I hope you are as well. And I'm so glad to have you on the show. We did do a segment together in season 1, and unfortunately I had technical difficulties, so we just had you on the phone. But this time we get to see you. It's so nice to see you.
In all my glory, yeah.
Yes. So we're here to talk about your trinity. Tell us about book 3. I'm so excited.
Book 3 is the latest addition to the Trinity. It's the last to the Trinity. Book 3 will actually end and begin the saga. This is book 3. This came out. This is a different publisher than 1 and 2. It just came out in May.
Okay.
And it completes the Trinity. Yeah, and my books are not long. They're not like 500-page books. This one's 168 pages. You know, I don't believe in taxing someone with a 500-page novel.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, publishers, in my dealing with publishers, they frown upon 300-page novels. It costs more to put them out, and if they ever get to Hollywood rips out half the book and then does a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I found out recently was that on average, 1 minute of film is 1 page in a book.
Yes.
So if it's a 2-hour film, you've only got 180 pages. If your novel is 300, 400, 500 pages, they can't do the whole thing. That's why you've seen in the recent past that some books are split into 2 movies. Because there's just too much of them to do 1 movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I stick to under 200 pages.
So that's very interesting that you have the trinity of books. And I love how you put that. It's not just a trilogy. It's a trinity of the Blood Passion Saga, which everybody is available on Amazon, is available at all major retailers online. So go check it out. But how and do you plan on the story to go beyond the 3 books?
Yes, that's why I said book 3, the end of book 3, the saga begins with book 4. And I'm changing things up a little bit. In the tradition of L. Frank Baum, the classic writer of the Oz books, I've read all his books. He's got about 15 books of Oz. I mean, Hollywood has just barely tapped the surface on him. Every book he wrote for Oz was refreshing. It was a different story with new characters, some of the old ones. So he didn't always, it wasn't like 15 books about Dorothy being in Oz. It was different. She was in some of the books, she wasn't in some of the books, which I found it very entertaining. I said, okay, I went to the next book. I said, okay, what new characters does he have for this book? Well, that's what I'm trying to do. Book 4 brings in a new character, a new, major character who is a vampire hunter. It's a woman, of course, and there's a hint that this woman is not from Earth or earthly plane.
but
Um,
also not a apocalyptic type. It's what is the word I'm thinking of, Jim? Also
well,
not.
she's come to Earth to help humans with their supernatural problems
Hmm.
because we humans have a hard time with that. She's more or less honed to the fact that she doesn't fear these things. That's why she's here, to protect humans from supernatural or people that think they're supernatural.
Hmm.
So she's a vampire hunter. She's commissioned by the U.S. Marshals Department to handle strange cases that they don't know what to do with. So she's brought in to handle them. She's my new character.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Does she?
And eventually,
I've got to
sorry.
ask this because for some reason this question's coming to mind. Does she have a sexual side?
Yes, she has a human side. She also has a, what's the word I want to use? An aerial side. It's almost as you're almost going to think that she's a heavenly body come to Earth, given up a lot to come down here and be the savior for humans. Which in religious history, there's a lot of that stuff. There's a lot of movies about angels coming to Earth,
Mhm.
stories. There's some great movies about angels coming to Earth, giving up their angel abilities, becoming more human because they see humans, they need help. We need help.
Mhm.
And we all pray to our guardian angel to help us. So for them to actually come down and there's an old movie, there's a fantastic movie. It's a Wonderful Life where
Mhm.
the angel helps him.
Mhm.
That's the classic angel comes to Earth to help a human being movie. So my new character is on that theme. Her name is Angel Simmons, and she's going to be a dynamic character.
That's really
And
interesting.
and I think I'm going to have her take over the series. I will switch from vampires to a vampire hunter story.
Oh,
The
wow.
hunter of the supernatural, but she actually specializes in vampires or people who think they are a vampire. Let's put it that way.
I absolutely love that. It's so creative. How do you set yourself up to be able to write the stories that you write? Is it just an imagination within that genre that you've always had, or what do you do to condition yourself?
Well, I was the third child in the family, and my brother grew too old to play with me. My older sister, we did things together, but no, most of the time I was on my own, and my imagination had to really grow because I was playing, you know, by myself. So I developed a very, very vivid imagination of things.
Hmm.
Plus, I've read a lot of books, I've seen a lot of movies, um, and then I think about what's going on in the world. What's interesting? What people are actually spending their money to go see movies? What are they spending money on books? So I say, I could probably, and I read them and I say, I can do better. I can do this better.
Hmm.
You know, I have that kind of confidence. And it pans out because when people do read my stuff, they go, yeah, it is better. I mean, recently there was a very successful vampire stories that went into film, and it was a young girl who wrote them. She had very little knowledge of vampires, so she went off on her own direction. She's very successful, and I'll give her that. That's fine. But I always felt I could do better. And I
Hmm.
wanted to bring back, she didn't do vampires as monsters. I grew up with Dracula. Dracula was someone you ran away from. You didn't run to them and kiss them and hug them and, you know, unless he forced you to. But in those stories that I'm talking about, these were like cuddly teddy bear vampires. I'm like, what's this all about? Because to me, vampires are someone you run away from. They're going to kill you. I
But you've almost created for book four and beyond, you're creating kind of like a fusion of one of my favorite movies, which is God,
yeah,
and Dracula, like real
I'm
Dracula.
yeah, I'm bringing in the supernatural, the super mystical, um, stuff like that to make it more. Like I said, if I kept writing vampire, if it would get people get tired of that, it's like I'm done with that. So you got to change things up a bit. You know, in the background, you'll have the vampire supernatural thing, but I'm going to focus in on Angel Simmons being the hero or the heroine of humans. Just like Superman came from Krypton, she comes from another place, not another planet, but another place. And I just give you subtle hints on what she may really be and what she really came from. I don't want to give it away yet. Like in book 3, I finally give you the origin of the bat that started the whole trouble. At the bottom, you'll see includes bonus prequel novella. It's a 3-chapter prequel to book 1 of the whole series. And finally reveals the origin of the bat and how the bat got the way it got and it could do the things it could do. So it took that long. It's a marketing strategy. If somebody reads book 3 and they like it, then they get to the prequel at the end, the 3-chapter prequel. The 3-chapter prequel ends where book 1 begins. So it's like the prequel ends and then book 1 begins. So if they've only read 3, they're going to go, I got to read number 1, because they want to find out what happened. So, I mean, even at the end here, I put in, a beginning. The prequel ends and I said it's beginning. Continued in Blood Passion, the first novel of J.M. Valente's modern Gothic American horror saga. Available in print, blah, blah, blah. So that tells you, go read book 1. You want to know more. And all through the first and second book, people are asking, where'd this bat come from? How'd this bat get like this?
Right.
So there's this running question going through. Finally, I give the answer. I was going to do it, and I wrote it before I even started writing this, and it's only 3 chapters. And it's more like, this is more like an Indiana Jones story. He's an archaeologist down in Mexico. He happens upon the situation. He witnesses it, and I tell the story. Almost as if I had met him and he told me what happened to him. He doesn't have a name. There's no reason to give him a name because he doesn't really talk to anybody. And I got that from, I love the classic writers. Doyle. And Doyle wrote The Time Machine.
Yeah.
The main character does not have a name in the books. Hollywood gave him a name in all their productions. But in the books, all he does is call him the Time Traveler. No name. I said, hey, if Doyle can do it, I can do it. Oh, actually, it was H.G. Wells. I'm sorry. I said, and they're all Doyle, H.G. Wells. They're all in my head. I said, if H.G. Wells can do that, write a whole book without giving the main character a real name, I can do it too. It's like rite of passage. So I did it. And yeah, he doesn't have a name. You just read about his adventure and how you find out how the bat, it's a mutated bat. So,
So in book 3,
yes.
do you have a favorite chapter? Do you have maybe a paragraph that you'd be able to read to us that you feel is just one of your favorites?
I'm looking through now.
I'm putting you on the spot.
Oh, that's all right. That's okay. I mean, I love the whole thing, really. The way it begins, because it's a complete. Now, book 1 and 2, there's a 7-year gap in the story, and there's 2 reasons for that, which I really don't want to give away. But book 2 and 3 just mesh into each other. In other words, book 2 ends, book 3 begins right away. There's really no time difference. If there is, it's only months. So, and people like that. They said, well, it flows right into book 3. I said, yeah.
Yeah.
And, I wanted to pay tribute to the original characters because they're sort of, book 2 gets rid of the original main male character. He's gone out of the story now. But he needs to be remembered because he's the one that started the whole mess. So chapter 1 begins. Now he has a daughter named Rachel. Now his name is Michael. Now nobody got this. One person got it. His name is Michael. His daughter, a strange daughter, is Rachel. Rachel is the female version of Michael's name. If you look at the spellings, they're almost exact. Everybody thinks it's Michelle. It's not Michelle. It's Rachel. It was one of the hints of who Rachel really is. Because I don't give it away right away that Rachel is actually Michael's daughter. it comes in. I get this from Doyle with his Sherlock Holmes stuff, giving you clues as you read, hoping you're getting them and putting them together. When you get to the end, you go, oh my God, he gave me every clue I needed to figure this out. So it opens with Rachel sitting at the desk in the library office in the house she inherited, in her sleeping attire and robe. Finishes her third reading of the memoirs of her real father, Michael Valley. Pay tribute to Michael right away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? She sits back in her chair to think about changing her surname from DeClarico, which is the name of the woman that her mother married, to Valley, wondering if her mother would mind or be upset with her if she did this. And that's how it begins. She had found out who her real father is in book 2. Okay, and that Mr. DeClarico, Joe DeClarico, is her actually stepfather. So she finds all this out in book 2. That's what really goes on in book 2. It's her awakening of who she really is. She's a vampire. She's half vampire. She realizes this at 7 years old. So because where they live, okay, there's a woods out back, and it's actually a real address. There's a wooded area out back of the house. So as a child, she feels she needs blood, and she's not apt to go after human beings at 7 years old. So she goes after baby animals in the woods and feeds off of them without her mother knowing it. Of course, her mother doesn't know this. She eventually finds out. But in the meantime, the other story going on is that this bat that changed Michael into a vampire also got destroyed in book 1, but it gets resurrected in book 2. Because the bat's body wasn't destroyed, it was buried. But the essence of the bat was more or less destroyed. So the people that buy the house that Michael lived in, because they eventually have to sell it because he's gone, they take over the house. It's a man and a woman and their 2 children. And the guy finds the memoirs of Michael up in the attic, and he reads them. He's like, what is this all about? So there's a thing in the memoirs where he can actually prove it really happened, because the bat's body was buried in a lockbox in the backyard. So he goes, okay, I'm going to go look and see if I can dig up this lockbox and find this bat's body. And he gets motivated, unrealistically motivated to do this. Some kind of spirit comes into him. So he goes out in the backyard. His wife goes off to go shopping. He goes out in the backyard. The kids are at school, and he locates the area. He starts digging it up, and he finds the bat's box. He opens the box, and in the story, this dark mist comes from his chest and goes into the bat, and the bat comes alive.
Ah.
Okay, and flies back up into the attic where it went originally, and now it's back up into the attic, and he's like, "What have I done? Idiot! What have I done?" Because he's read the memoirs, he knows what the bat's all about. So he just leaves it alone. He doesn't see the bat go into the attic because it flies around to the front of the house, out of his line of sight, and goes back into the attic, because that's more or less its roost.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, moving along, his wife wants to see if there's any nice lamps up in the attic from the original owner. And now he says, well, I can't get the door open. You have to call the realtor and ask her if she has the key to the attic door. It's an attic. It's a full attic. It could be a 3rd floor. Okay. You walk up a set of stairs, you have to go through a door. It's not one of those go through the ceiling type of thing. So make a long story short, he gets the door open for her, and then he has to leave. She goes up there by herself and becomes a vampire the same way Michael did. So now, and she's a woman, mid-30s. She's now a vampire like Michael. She starts doing her thing, and Rachel's she's a teenage vampire. So you got an adult female vampire and a teenage girl vampire vying for the area of the town, and they're going to fight each other. They have 3 big confrontations, and there's a final one at the end of the book. How it's done is the question. What happened? Stuff like that. I mean, it's a very traumatic situation. So you have, when I gave this idea to people, they're like, "Oh my God, female vampire cat fights?" I said, "Yeah, at least 3 of them." They loved it.
I have one question rumbling around my head, and Michael. So,
Yes.
is there a connection with Saint Michael and
No,
Michael?
no,
No.
no. The connection is with me.
Okay.
He's supposed to be me when I was in my 30s. See, my name is James Michael Valente. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's J.M. Valente. His name is Michael Valley. My middle name and a short version of Valente. And I patented him after me, his look, his mannerisms, his personality.
Interesting. Your books are
Um,
so visual. Do you have any plans for future television show, movie, short?
well, book one, yeah, there's a screenplay that got started that is being written right now for book one. I seen the first part of the beginning of it, the first maybe 2 minutes of the film. And the person that's doing it wants my input big time.
Mm-hmm.
So they want my comment, and I will probably speak to them this evening about that. Because what they're doing is a little confusing to me. I understand the fact that you got to hurry through things in a film. You can't show somebody, you know, driving from one place to another unless there's a conversation in the vehicle that needs to be into the movie. But they can get in the car here and then exit the car here, and you never show what happens in between. So that saves you time on film. But like I said, if there's a conversation between two people in the car during that ride, it needs to be filmed. That happens once in book two.
Mm-hmm.
So I realized you have to cut things. In other words, if you show somebody going somewhere on an airplane, you show them getting on the plane, you show them getting off the plane. You're not going to film them sitting there, flying along for an hour or so. It's not going to happen. It's going to be like bam, bam. They get in, they get out, done. And that's acceptable in film because nobody really wants to watch somebody sitting in a chair on a plane reading a magazine while they're flying to a destination, right?
Well,
So,
and that was a comment I was going to make, and this is why I got to that question of do you have plans of making it into a film or a television show or anything like that? Is because you give just enough description, but you don't over describe.
no.
And that is so very nice because it seems like our creativity and imagination as the reader can follow along so much better when we're not bombarded with, she's wearing black shoes
No.
and white top.
The only time I may describe the wardrobe is if it fits, if it has to be described for the story, for the sake of the story.
And that's totally understandable,
Right.
but there are writers out there that
Yeah,
will
I know.
describe
I know.
someone's hair color in 5 sentences. And it's like,
Oh,
okay,
I know. I know. Well, there is a part in book four and first at the end of book three where Rachel has to go into disguise. She has to go into cognito. She has to leave because she's afraid that she's going to be pursued and caught, and so she has to change her look, her name, which is great because she's almost a new character. She changes her look from brunette to blonde. She changes her eye color with contact lenses, and she's actually writing a book too. That's another thing that's very intriguing to my readers. Rachel is writing her own vampire story, which is different than the one I'm writing. And people are like, "How will you do it?" I says, "Don't forget, They said to me, "I love your story. I love Rachel's story." I says, "Wait a minute, I'm writing Rachel's story, so you love mine." They go, "Yeah, this is like really weird." I said, "Yeah." And the original publisher said, "We've never seen an author do this before." I said, "What?" "Well, Rachel's wants to write her own vampire story, and it is different than the one I'm writing about her. So
and you
she's
could
doing this."
publish it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I give that story to the reader. There'd be a chapter where you get her story that she's writing, and then I go back to the story that I'm writing about her.
Wow.
Yeah, it gets a little. I have to keep a lot of notes. Let's put it that way.
I can only imagine, but
Because she has characters in her story, I have characters I have to make up all these characters, come up with these names. What I did with her story, it's almost like Underworld,
okay.
where there's a cabal of vampires,
Mm.
but I give them Greek names. I've always been admired the Greek names with the Marcus and stuff like that, and Lucas.
So
That S at the end, the way the Greeks did their names. So
okay.
her vampires, which is spelled with a Y, not an I,
Yeah.
all have kind of Greek names. Marcus is the main vampire. Lucas is the person that's coming after him because he wants to drag him back to the Cabal because he's supposed to take over, blah, blah, blah. And she's writing all this. And the girl in her story, she's making that it's her because the girl's name in the story is the name she's using for her alias and also her author name. So you're going to think that the author actually lived this. I mean, some of my beta readers got a little confused. I said, no, Rachel's story has nothing to do with the story for Rachel. Because Rachel has a story and I'm writing Rachel's story. And in book four, which I'm halfway through, her book will get finished and published. And she'll become an author with a fictitious publishing company and stuff like that. And the vampire hunter who is going to go after her is able now to trace her through her book signing schedule, which is a weakness. You know, Rachel doesn't realize that she's giving away her locations by doing these book signings, because this vampire hunter catches on to the fact that this woman who wrote this book is actually the vampire I need to track down and get. So I'm just going to follow her around using her book signing locations. So it's actually going to become a story that it starts in the north, goes down south, out west, comes back to New York, you know, because her publisher's in New York. She's gonna travel around chasing Rachel, almost catching her here and there. Rachel gets away. Rachel does her next signing. The angel finds out where that is and goes after her in that location. So it's become. I got that from Logan's. Remember Logan's Run?
Okay.
Remember that movie? The books are so much better. Logan's Run, he gets chased by Francis throughout the United States, which they don't do in the movie. They just end it right away. That he gets chased once and that's it. But he's chased on and on and on. It actually ends at Mount Rushmore. That's where they have their final confrontation in Logan's Run. And I said, you know, that wasn't done properly. They left out a lot of the chase and stuff. I mean, he chased them throughout the United States. And I want to do that. I said, I'm going to have Angel chase Rachel throughout the United States, at least coming close 5 or 6 times of getting her. And then Rachel gets away, because Rachel does have vampire powers. You know, she has super strength abilities. And Angel doesn't really have any powers except for her weapons and her ingenuity and her experience. And I'm thinking of a final chase scene on motorcycles through the city of New York.
That would be amazing.
Ending up in Central Park.
Yes, that would be. And to put that to picture, once you're at that point, because I know you start with one movie, you're going to have movies.
I hope so. I hope so. Yeah.
Because this is such a dynamic story. But Angel and Rachel, are they yin and yang in looks?
Yes. Rachel is more the fair-haired, blue-eyed, and Angel is more dark hair, brown-eyed. She wants to look as human as possible. So and also she tells people she's from Enterprise, Alabama, and she speaks with a Southern accent, which I write it into the book. In other words, she said, I wrote in her dialogue, she uses the word fixin' and reckon and you all. And so when you read her dialogue, you're reading a Southern accent, which I found that writers are not doing that when they write Southern stories. They're writing it as like a Northern accent. I say, this is ridiculous. They don't talk that way down there.
Writers aren't doing anything that you're doing, Jim. They're not writing a book within a book. They're not.
In other words, Angel is asked, where you headed next? Well, I'm fixing to make my way into New York City. You know, that big apple that you got up here in these parts, you know. I wanted to talk like a Southern woman.
Yes.
But she's not really she's faking it. And I put her in Enterprise because Enterprise, although it's a good-sized city, it's not a notarized city. She can go there and she's in hiding more or less and get away from stress. So, yeah, I mean, and she goes back and forth. She also has a sister, a surrogate sister in Enterprise who followed her down here. unknowing, because this also happens to Rachel and her friend Lucy.
Uh-huh.
Lucy has a girlfriend, Lucy. Rachel has a girlfriend, Lucy, who kind of follows her around. And Angel will have her a person that follows her around. And they always act like they're sisters.
Does Lucy
It's
go
up,
after Michael? Can I ask that?
well, say again?
Does Lucy go after Michael?
No, no.
Ah.
Lucy's the comedy relief. She's the little ditzy girlfriend.
Uh-huh.
You know, she follows because Rachel's very popular, good looking. And Lucy's not that good looking. She's kind of homely. So she goes around with Rachel because she wants a little bit of that spotlight. She's my
Very,
comedy relief. She's the comedy relief in the whole thing. She says goofy stuff, you know.
yeah.
You need
Oh.
that. You need comedy. Although it's, you know, it gets intense too much. You got to lighten it up here and there. That's
Jim,
Lucy's my comedy relief.
This is so very exciting. I want to congratulate you on all 3 books. I can't wait until book 4 comes out. But just this trinity, you can purchase all 3 of the books on Amazon, correct?
Well, they're also on the Kindle.
They're also on Kindle.
Well, book three isn't on the Kindle yet. It's going to be on the Kindle in about a month. Takes a little while. But 1 and 2 are on the Kindle, or using the Kindle application. You can read them too, because they're actually very hard to find right now. And if they do find it, you find they're very expensive, because the publisher went belly up. They went out of business. They're not producing the book anymore. So what's left is really what people have bought and they're reselling. Actually, book 1 has a high price of $600 on it by Red Rhino.
Really?
Yeah. Red Rhino is selling a copy of it for $600, book 1.
So
book 2, I'm sorry?
Are you able to get I'm assuming that the publisher has the rights to book 1. Are you able to?
I have the copyright to all the books.
You have the copyright to all of them.
But
so
see, Red Rhino bought a bunch of books when they were able to from the distributor, and now they're selling them. And realizing that the book is now out, more or less out of print from the publisher, they're escalating the price. Let's put it this way: Merlin Napier bought a copy of book 1 from Barnes and Noble Marketplace for $12, and it's signed by me. I sold that book to somebody, and they sold it in Barnes and Noble. He bought it. He got the book. He says, "What's going on?" He goes, "I got the book." He says, "I opened up he said, title page has some writing on it." I said, "Really?" I says, "Take a picture, send it to me." My autograph is like a scribble. He sends me the picture. I said, "Merlin, that's my autograph. You have an autographed copy." He goes, "Oh my God." I said, "Yeah, you bought an autographed copy." So somebody sold that through the marketplace, Barnes and Noble Marketplace, to him. So the only way you can get book 1 and 2 in print form is buying it from a third-party seller.
Okay.
Some of the prices are ridiculous, but on the Kindle, the prices are decent. So if you're a Kindle user, you can get them for like $3 or $4. And actually, book 2 goes on the Kindle. It'll be about $2.98 on the Kindle. It's only $12 right now in print form.
Okay.
That's available everywhere.
I was able to find book 3 on Amazon, and I just popped it up, and it is just over $12. And then if you have Amazon Prime, like I do, that's free shipping. So it's good to know that you can find book 1 and 2 on Barnes and Noble Marketplace.
You can find it on Amazon through third-party sellers like Red Rhino.
Correct. So,
but Red Rhino has it from anywhere from $16 plus shipping to $600, and a few prices in between. It's crazy.
Wow.
Whether they I don't know. Are they going to get $600 for a book? I have no idea. It doesn't affect me. I know, but I really can't justify someone paying that kind of money for a book when they can get the Kindle version for $3.98.
Exactly.
But a collector may want to go that far. You know, there was a time last year where somebody was selling book 2 for $1,200. They were asking $1,200 for this book.
Did they get it?
I don't know.
Wow.
It went away for that price, but for like a whole year, it was escalating. I was watching it go up. It started out about $300. A couple weeks later, it was at $600. It went up, and all went up to $1,000. I says, that's got to be it. It actually leveled off at $1,200 for a book of this size.
Did you try to sell the copies that you had? you put it
I
on
saw-
there for like 1,300 and see
No,
if you got
but in the meantime, I was selling copies because Sky L. Johnson bought them from me. She saw, if you talk to her about it, she saw the book on Amazon for $1,200. And she got in touch with me and she said, I want to get your book, but I can't pay that. I says, you don't have to pay that. I have copies. I will sell you the book for $16.
Okay.
I said, I said, I can sell you both of them for $32. Send me a money order. I'll ship you the books. So that's how she got interested. She wants to play the main character.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was like, this is crazy. I mean,
that's nuts. That's just absolute nuts. But
it was good for me. People saw that. That's what interested her. She goes, oh my God, this book is $1,200. It must be fantastic.
yeah,
There's got to be something to this. But it wasn't me. It wasn't me doing it. It was another third-party seller who buys a bunch of books and sells them through their website.
that's
Yeah.
insane. I mean, it is a great story, but that is insane that they had originally purchased it, let's say for $12, $13 at the time that you could find it on Amazon, and
now they're reselling, and they're not even, as far as I know, these are not signed copies by me. Merlin getting a signed copy was a one-off. Somebody I had sold a copy to for like $16,
Mm-hmm.
sold it again on the marketplace, Barnes & Noble marketplace, and he happened to buy it. And he was ecstatic. Oh my God, I got an autographed copy. I'm so happy. I said, great. I said, the only way to get them was through me.
Are you doing book signings for book 3 or for the entire Trinity at the time?
Well, let's put it this way. Getting a book into a bookstore is like finding teeth for a dinosaur. It's not easy.
Mm.
You got to be anything short of Stephen King.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to take a chance. The book has to be returnable. I mean, the original publisher of book 1 and 2 had put out to the bookstores. They could buy as many as they wanted. They were totally returnable. And I would go there and do signings for them. Nobody took the deal. They could, invest in 10 books, sell 5, return 5. And I would go and try to help sell them books. Nobody bought it. Barnes & Noble wasn't interested in because I'm a nobody. They want a guaranteed profit on what they bring into their stores.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's understandable.
Well, to a point. I mean, I'm sure there was a time Stephen King was a nobody and somebody took a chance with him. And look what happened. So, and nobody wants to take a chance with me. No bookstore wants to. I had bookstores say to me, well, if you want to bring in your own copies and give us a commission on what you sell, we'll do it that way. I said, when I buy copies from the publisher, I get no royalty.
Okay.
Only when the book is bought outside of the publisher or from the publisher do I get a royalty. So, yeah, I didn't want to do that. I said, you want me? I got to bring the books in? Oh, yeah. I said, you don't want, no, we're not going to buy your book from the publisher. I said, fine. But I'll tell you this is what really gets me. If book 1 comes out as a movie, okay, you're going to see the bookstores want to have it in their store now.
Oh, absolutely. And if I purchase all 3 of the books, 1 of the books, if I purchase them and would like them signed, how could I go about doing that? Is there an opportunity?
They might be in the near future, yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Well, let's put it this way. This is, if a lot of the filming for book 1 is going to be done in Atlanta, I kind of want to be there a little bit.
Yes.
So I'll probably be coming down to that area in the next 12 months or so.
Well, please, I would love to have you back on the show and we can talk about your visit and maybe meet up.
Well, if I go to Atlanta, I'd want to visit with you and the publisher and then be on set for some of the filmings. Because, all the interior stuff will be done at a sound stage.
Yes.
So I want to be on set just to sit back and see what's going on. And if the director or whatever wants my input, I'd gladly give it to them.
Oh, I love that.
I've been thinking about it, and I said, a book is narrated by a writer. Movies are not narrated. Everything has to be done by the actors. The actors have to give you the story. So if you don't have a narrator, I mean, it's going to be like what is this person actually feeling? And unless the actor has good facial expressions, or they're able to give the audience. I love to watch a movie where I can get the thoughts of the actors or the characters,
Well,
because
and that's
you're
what
more.
we should.
Yeah, it's right, but they don't always do that. They give you a facial expression.
True.
You're guessing, like, what were they thinking? And a book gives you thoughts and dialogue, and it gives you narration, which is why people like to read a book rather than seeing a movie most of the time. I'm the narrator. I'm setting it up for you. I'm telling you what they said, how they felt, what they thought. But movies don't do that. Unless the actor actually comes out and says, I'm feeling very sad right now at what you said to me. Now that's got to be in the dialogue. Or there's a tear coming down, so they're sad.
I think generally they'd rather spend a little extra time in casting to make sure that they have really good, solid actors, so that they don't have to pause the show and say Jane was feeling very sad.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's a narration. I loved the old 50s movie with the narration, though. I used to love that.
And that would be really cool to bring back some of that and put it into the movie for book 1. And everybody, please go out to Amazon and purchase. You can buy book 1 and 2 from third-party sellers online. So possibly Barnes & Noble Marketplace, on Amazon from a third-party seller. And then book 3 is available just over $12. It was like $12.62.
Yeah, so $12.14. If you're a Prime member, you get free shipping. Yeah,
exactly.
But don't forget, 1 and 2 are on the Kindle. 3 is coming to the Kindle.
Yes. So if you have a Kindle, that's fantastic. It's very, very affordable for book 1.
Or even the Kindle application is free for your computer, your cell phone, anything.
Yes. And
I tell people that all the time. I say, get the Kindle application on your computer. You can read books. And there's a ton of free Kindle books out there, Tons.
And they're great content too. But everybody, go take a look at Blood Passion. And this is such an amazing trinity. I want to say trilogy. That is not right. This is trinity.
It's a trinity.
It's book 1, 2, and 3.
I like that. Actually, it's a personal thing with me. I like trinity better than trilogy. Trilogy to me personally, it makes me think of science fiction. This may be, and the thing is about Blood Passion, the key to Blood Passion is that it's a real story and it's a fictional story. There's a real side to the story, and then there's a fictional side. So you keep going back and forth between real and fiction, back to real again. Just a character like a Jekyll and Hyde changing from vampire to human. His human life is real. He's going through real things that we all go through. But his vampire side is the fictional part of the story. And people can relate to his real side. Merlin just started reading book 1, and there's a section in there where he has a rude conversation with an ex-girlfriend, and he said, I can relate to that. That just happened to me, with an ex-girlfriend.
Right.
He says, so I could totally relate to him talking to her the way he did and trying to put her off. I said, that's the realism. And then you go, yeah.
It's a story that will suck you right into it. And
in more ways than one.
On the
more
show.
Ways than one, yeah.
More ways than one. That is right. Thank you so much for your time and the information.
Thank you for having me.
Now everyone has amazing material. It's summertime. You need a book to go down to the pool. Let the kids swim and immerse yourself into an amazing story. By Valente. Blood Passion, book 1, 2, and 3. Go get them today. And Jim, thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me, really. Thank you for having me, give me this time. And I hope that someday we can actually meet in person, because Atlanta's becoming very influential into my life. The new publishers in Atlanta, you're in Atlanta. A lot of the filming will take place in Atlanta. I'm going to have to come to Atlanta.
That's right. That is the.
I have to come. I really have to come there. So.
I agree with you. And there's amazing things happening here. If you haven't been to Atlanta, people out there, come on out.
There you go.
There's so many things to do in the city. Production is amazing. So I mean, you have your publishers here. You're coming here. You're going to be doing a movie here, and that I'm excited about. That brings money into our city. So thank you so much.
And let me just mention this. In book 4, I've already used you as a character. I told you about that. And I think you
Yes.
got to read the chapter that Officer Cooper of the Salem, Massachusetts Police is in the book.
Yep.
And she's you. When I wrote her, I pictured you in my mind.
I
In the
love
cop
it.
outfit with, in the squad car, and her name is Elizabeth Cooper, Officer Cooper. So when the time comes, Elizabeth, and hopefully it does, that we need you for that, you got to do it.
I'm there. Are you kidding me? I'm there. I'm so there. And I have to tell you, and this is a little bit of a personal thing, and I'll share it with the whole rest of the world. The day that you sent me that chapter to read, I had just pulled into the vet's office. So I'm in the parking lot of the veterinarian and I'm reading through it. And I was waiting on my ex to show up. So I'm in my car and I was really very touched that you had put me into your book. And I was really very touched by God and the divine moment I had there to lift my spirits, because my next move was to walk in and put my dog down.
Oh, sorry.
And
Sorry to hear
that was what I had to do. And unfortunately, she was a very healthy puppy, but we had a situation where we really didn't have any other options. So I want to thank you for that. And I wanted
You're
to
very
share
welcome.
that with you, because sometimes we do things and we don't realize the power of which it brings into someone's life. And
I know.
that was an amazing, amazing moment. So I will be there. You just say the word, I'm there, Officer Cooper, reporting for duty.
Okay, great.
So thank you, Jim. I want to wish you a wonderful weekend, and I'm so excited. We had a great conversation. We got almost 50 minutes here.
Okay. Thanks again. And hopefully we can do it again soon. I'll have more information. Maybe even, book 4, I'm thinking it'll probably come out in the fall of next year. Not the fall, the spring of next year.
Yes.
I like to go a little while between books in real life, but because I want to write a good story. If you rush it, it's not going to be good.
Right.
Anything that's worth doing needs to be done in the right time frame.
Mm-hmm.
If you do it too quickly, you end up with lousy writing or lousy story. It's all in my head. Even part of book 5 is in my head. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. Even with this show, I had advertised, it's the show is coming on May, and season 2 starts in May. And then different things get put in front of you, and you get really lucky and you book out, and you get really lucky and you have this and that and the other that comes up in your schedule. And I said, okay, it's not the time. June is the time. Oh, okay, not beginning of June, late June, fine, whatever. June is the time. And it's such a beautiful thing to kind of mature into that attitude of life, of realizing that giving everything time, not just yourself time, but situations, everything to settle until it
well,
feels
Elizabeth, timing is everything.
Oh, it so is. And this wouldn't be happening without the right timing. So thank you again. I'm so excited, and I'd love to have you on the show again. So let's do this again soon.
Well, I used you as a character for several reasons. One of them was to show my appreciation for you having me on your show now twice.
Yes.
So I got to do something for her. I like to show appreciation physically. Verbally is fine, saying thank you and stuff like that, but actually doing something, showing appreciation goes a lot deeper than just saying thank you. So I said, I'm going to make her a character in the story. I need a female cop. It's going to be Elizabeth Cooper, Officer Elizabeth Cooper of the Salem, Massachusetts Police Force.
I can't wait.
And the thing is, if you noticed in the chapter, you're alone. You're not with a partner. Mm-hmm. That's how bad arse you are. You work alone. Okay? You're someone to you don't not to be reckoned with. Mm-hmm. To put it in a southern vein, okay? And that's why I wanted you to be badass. I want the character to be someone who's equal to Angel Simmons in her heroism, and I just wanted her to equal. I wanted those two to come together to do this one little thing in a chapter and be on equal ground with each other. No
Right.
one's better than the other. I mean, one's a U.S. Marshal, the other one's just a cop in a city in Massachusetts. But showing her alone in that car, waiting for Angel to show up, right away, that tells you she doesn't work with a partner.
Mm-mm.
She rides around alone.
Mm-hmm.
That's badass.
It is badass. I love
Yeah.
being badass.
Yeah. But she's also like you. She's also sweet and caring, but she can be what she needs to be when she needs to be it.
Mhm.
Very versatile, very flexible. And that's the way I saw the character. And I put you into that mold, and I said, it works for me. And then I wanted you to read it. I says, I got to send this to her to see what she thinks about it. You know,
Well, my dear, I will see you on set then.
hopefully, well, hopefully it'll come up. I mean, they may, where book 2 and 3 kind of mesh together, they may turn book 2 and 3 into one film, and then we'll
Mhm.
get closer to book 4 that way.
Right. Exactly. You never know.
Because
All
book
right,
1 and
Jim.
2, book 1 and 2 have a 7-year gap, so they have to be done separately.
True.
Okay. All right.
All righty. I will see you soon. Thank you so much for your time. And everybody go check out Blood Passion. It is sure to leave you excited and full of,
And
I have so many
don't forget what it
words.
says. Don't forget what it says on my pin here. It says reading is sexy.
Reading is sexy. It is.
Okay.
Yeah, take that sexy book to the pool with you. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where you need to go this summer. Thank you so much, Jim. I'll see you soon.
Yes. Take care and thanks again. Stay
Of
healthy.
course. Same
Best
to
to you and your
you.
family too.
All right. Thank you. Bye. Oh my goodness, everybody. I'm going to bring this up here. So this is a screenshot. Ooh, look, I'm getting better. This is a screenshot of Amazon Prime right now. The book is available. Number 3 is available right now. As Jim had mentioned, the publisher went under that published book 1 and 2. So you can get those from third-party vendors. So you can go onto Amazon, and anyone who has a copy that happens to be selling it, you can buy it used there or Barnes & Noble Marketplace, but do be careful. I mean, definitely maybe check back if you notice that it's for sale for $1,200, which book 1 was for sale for $1,200 around the holidays. Just check back because, as Jim said, it shouldn't be that price. His books, if you want the actual physical book like I do, then they should be about $12 to $16. And then if you want to download the Kindle app, which you can put on your computer, on your phone, on your actual Kindle, then all 3 books are available. Actually, book 3 it is coming. So book 1 and 2 is available on the Kindle, and book 3 is coming to the Kindle very soon. That was J.M. Valente with the Blood Passion Saga, the trinity of his 3 books. And he will be writing and completing book 4 very soon. So we will hear about that as that begins the Blood Passion Saga. I can't wait. It really is a great story. So go check it out. And thank you so much for watching. You are loved. You are blessed. Have a wonderful weekend.